Hey guys, on today's show, this is a recording from August 2nd of Q&A with Jim and Jim. This is where myself and Jim Mooney Jr. from Freedom Storage Management, we get about, I think we have like 30 of us on this Zoom call, and we are just free flowing. Questions, comments, what's going on in the industry, what we're going through in our daily self-storage lives, and we're talking about it. So it's about an hour long, kind of free flowing with ourselves and those guests that joined us. So enjoy. Man. All right, let's get the ball rolling. This is Q&A with Jim and Jim. I'm Jim Ross. Got Jim Mooney Jr. here. Thanks for everyone to actually showing up on time. It's always nice. People are rolling in. Again, if this is your first time here, basically how this works is pretty free flowing. Whatever kind of questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to talk about, cool. We'll bring it up. It's not just about me and Jim giving our perspectives. We'll throw our 2 cents in here, but this is kind of a collective. This is a collective effort. We all have different perspectives and experiences in storage. So hey, we're all here to kind of learn from each other. That's how it goes. So, how is it going, Jim?
Good. Yeah, it's actually funny you said that. I was just looking yesterday, at the airport, watching just going through some of the Facebook groups and seeing some of the stuff going on. And I love when the comments come up about gate system, which ones are best, which ones are not. And uh, everybody's got their own perspective on that. And one guy was complaining about is one, and I said, I said I recommend Spider Doors. We've had a good run with them. Actually, ironically, I had to go. We had one go offline last week. I had to go up to my property and fix it. And when I opened it up, I had a wasp nest in the keypad.
Oh crap!
So 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm opening. I'm like, oh, wake up! So
That got you going.
But it's amazing, and we all have our own opinions. And I just saw one last night. Somebody was questioning storage, and I hate it. I know you like you. I don't know if you like it or you tolerate it.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's just, well, why don't you like it? I'm it's like, well, for me, it doesn't have half the reports I want. So, but.
Okay. I know we keep bringing it up, but we have to do that. I need to get your list of cool reports. I'll get mine. We're going to cross and compare. We're going to have that.
Yeah.
We're going to do that whole session like that. So I'll wait till you get back from your whirlwind trip of baseball stadiums.
Did you see last night online, somebody shared that there was and again, I hate the fact that this happens, but there was a fire at a storage facility in Gulfport. I think it was Gulfport, Mississippi. And I commented, I said, oh, wow, that really horrible for everybody. Hopefully, everybody's got some kind of insurance or protection on their units. And it just kind of got me thinking about the conversation you and I had one day, Jim, about a lot of the owners out there that are afraid to make insurance / protection a requirement of their lease. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if anybody's ever dealt with fire. I've unfortunately dealt with 2 of them. And when you have people coming into the office and they've lost all their stuff, and thankfully in both the cases I had, everybody had but one had insurance on the unit through the company we were using at the time, so they got some kind of coverage. But I can't imagine having a property and being one of the ones that don't require it, and then something like that happens.
No, it's the only way you can sleep good at night. Eva, should I show that video? I'll have to look it up. Okay. She knows what I'm talking about because I showed it to her earlier.
Dude, that is scary. Terrifying.
I got to show it. I'll pull it up here in a second. I'll give you some context. And then we'll get into whatever else we're going to talk about. But no, it's not so much of, if people are doing something wrong at your facility and starting fires. Sometimes it can be flat out arson with some of these cycles, what they're doing. I mean, did you see that guy in Chico, California with what's like the 5th largest fire going on right now? He lit his car on fire, pushed it down a ravine. The whole thing is going up.
Yeah.
Arson. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I wasn't having it prepared, but you got to see this video. It'll put a shiver down your spine here.
Well, that's what they were saying last night, that the fire inspector was thinking was arson at this property. So
There we go. All right, hold on. Let me share my screen. Give you some context for this as I share my screen here. Make sure to get all this to go away. Too many things. All right. Cool. All right, what this is, it's a site I've been talking with back and forth in Vegas. And so this is the manager just recording from her security camera, okay? And her computer screen. So this is their property. This is their little parking lot right here. So over here is the storage site. Then you got the road. Across the street is this RV. So kind of shows you maybe the economy a little bit, just kind of the area. This is a random RV parked across the street, but whatever. Watch this. So this guy rolls up on his bike. Goes around back. I would imagine lighting the propane in the back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here comes the flames. You start seeing in the back. Starts creeping up. Now watch how fast this goes.
Holy jeez. And this was just 2
Just a
days
couple
ago.
ago. Yeah, this happened. This happened.
Hopefully nobody was in that thing.
I don't even know. Don't know yet. And as of like yesterday, the cops haven't even investigated yet. Yeah, it's nuts. So it just, look at that. It just goes and goes. That's crazy. Isn't that nuts? Yeah.
So unfortunately, the world we live in, that we have to, we talk about all the time with my kids. When we were kids, Jim, we would get up in the mornings during the summer. We were gone. You didn't know where we were. You didn't know where we were on our bikes in the woods playing ball.
Yeah.
We came home when the lights came on, and I would never let my kids are grown now, but I would never let them do that.
To do what?
Just
Light
go
a
on.
on fire?
Yeah. Yeah. No. So yeah.
No, but it's just, I mean, again, it can be, negligence, people doing that, but sometimes it scares me that someone's, again, we're in storage, people are getting divorced, there's crap going down. I could see someone just being like losing it and, all right, cool, torching the place just for vengeance. Yeah.
Did you
So,
see the other one online
insurance.
this week about what's the harm of putting 2 names on a lease? I'm like, don't ever do that.
Yeah. Oh,
Ever put more than 1 name on a lease. Ever. No.
no, I just saw some of that 2 weeks ago when I was doing an audit at a place that they had some older leases and things like that. But I'm like, all right, it's time to get updated because not that they just didn't know any better, frankly, and they were just thinking they're providing a good service and being able to have 2 names on the lease, trying to do what's best for the customer, make life easy. Like, no, you're that's the gray area. You're gonna get yourself in a lot of trouble.
You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, as you're jumping on, cool. If you want to turn your cameras on, it's always nice to see everyone's faces. Again, this is free flowing, so feel free to jump in. Got something that's going on at your site? Any good news? Something's going on? Any questions? Cool. Jump on in.
So Anthony, what were you laughing about? You were just roaring like a coyote there for a minute ago.
I don't have nearly, the experience. I'm not trying to age a Jim, poke at you a little bit. My screen's over here. But yeah, the same things that I've heard time and time again, and going through those things and going through full audits of facilities and seeing some of the crazy stuff that does happen. Just that's why I'm like, yep. All the issues that the little nuances that can create really, really big, that can create, a huge headache.
Yeah, no, it's always the little things that turn into big things. is how it goes. And if you don't have that kind of a, just an operations checklist when it comes to your, current move-ins, as they're currently there, as they're moving out, just overall operations, sometimes these little things can come back to bite you in the butt. And
Yeah,
remind
we were talking about walkthroughs a little bit ago, and it's brought one up for me. We had a unit that went to auction, and finally got to the auction process. We cut the lock; it was empty. And I went back and looked at the notes. We were calling and emailing and everything. So we sent the person right to the collection agency, right, for 3 full months.
Yeah.
Got an email about a week after they got notified by the collection bureau saying, well, why'd you do that? Like, well, you didn't pay your bill. Well, I was done with the unit. Well, you left your lock on the unit. Well, yeah, I didn't think it mattered. I'm like, why wouldn't it matter? Well, then you guys have cameras. You saw me emptying my unit. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. He goes, well, I'm not paying this. I said, you can do what you want, but you had the lease. You were supposed to give us notice. You didn't give us notice.
Yeah.
And he was just on. But we were talking. I did a call the other day with a client. We were talking about walkthroughs and the importance of them. And I said, well, how often does your staff do a full walkthrough in your property? He goes, well, what do you mean a full walkthrough? I said, you print the report out of your software, you go out there and check off every unit, make sure the locks are where they're supposed to be. And he goes, yeah, we don't do that. We drive around, and we see stuff and we'll go from there. I said, well, how do you properly account for who's where? I said, whatever when you find a unit's got no lock on it. They just move them out.
Yeah, they're just running fast and loose. That's like I said that you're doing a consultation with, or?
Well, they want some, but I've already said I'm not going to, because
Gotcha. Okay.
after about 20 minutes of conversation with the guy, yeah.
That's why I said that. Honestly, there's been some times when I've been talking with some people for doing some consulting, and I can just tell them, you can just feel it like, it doesn't matter what I say, you ain't gonna do it, and you're gonna come back in a year and ask these same questions over and over again. So I've said no to a handful of people, probably the last couple of years. I'm like, you need management, not just a consultant to tell you what to do, because you ain't gonna listen.
Well,
I hate to be judgmental that way, but I've seen it way too often, over and over again.
I had one I worked with 3 years ago. I went out there and spent a bunch of time with them, and he had a manager that the partners loved, and she was the problem. She didn't want change, and I gave him a whole list of things we got to do, and to this day they haven't been done. And he called me about a month ago, said, "Hey, want to circle back with you and get some more help." I'm like, "Why? You didn't do anything I said the first time."
Yeah, just check my notes from 2 years ago. Yep.
Not being mean, but I'm not going to waste not waste my time, but invest my time to try to help people who don't want it.
Yeah, the one way I've found on a few occasions where I've kind of made it hurt and hammer the point home is when I've shown kind of in black and white how the mismanagement of operations affects the bottom line. Tell them how it hurts, or it's affecting the income and the revenue and the leads and all that kind of stuff.
So Mary Jo just chimed on here. They do a walkthrough every Thursday. So let's open that conversation up. In my world, we're doing a walkthrough twice a week, usually Mondays and Thursdays. But we're doing one on the first day of the month and the last day of the month as well. So we're getting a bunch of them in there. I mean, what cadence do you guys have? If you want to throw it in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and hop on and talk about it. I mean, what cadence do you guys have? What works at your areas? Because even our remote properties, here's Elizabeth said they do one every day. Now, Elizabeth, we do a walk around every day, but we don't print the walkthrough out every day. But it's funny because when we drive a property, and we have, I got the hubs, Jim. So when we're there, I drove on Monday. I was at the store, and we had 4 new girls start, and so there were 6 of us in the building, for whatever. All 6 of us drove the property, and all of us saw different things.
Really?
So yeah. I mean, you're going to catch things like I caught a couple gutters and stuff like that, and some of the weeds growing, but it's amazing what you're going to catch when you drive the property every day. And I mean, we teach our guys that they have to drive when they come in the morning, and when they leave at night, they got to do a drive around again just to make sure nothing looks out of place. That way, if they come in the next morning, something's weird, they have a shorter window to look for it.
That's why we do our walkthrough every day, so that we're able to keep an eye on everything. And I do a printed walkthrough every morning. And then just like a spot check in the evening,
Yeah.
just riding around. But
And how
it
often
helps me to be able to make sure property maintenance is being taken care of. I'm getting vacants when they move out. I'm catching anybody who may have, locked their unit in the open position the night before. And like you said, especially with break-ins, it helps narrow down that window of time because I know what it looked like the day before. So I know if something's different the next day.
Exactly. I mean, it's so much easier to, we talk about it all the time. We had a facility guy on vacation last week, so we hopped in doing his walkthroughs, and they weren't to the degree we thought they should be. And, when you let things go, when you don't sweep your hallways out, you don't do certain things, it just builds and piles up on you. So you stay on top of it every day or, once a week, whatever your cadence is, it makes your properties a lot more easy to manage and maintain.
Got a question for you, Jim, or anybody else that's on here. When it comes to overseeing the properties, because again, it's not like we're at every single property every single day. Can't do that. But you're overseeing the properties, and it's up to the boots on the ground or the manager, depending on how you're staffing it, to do those walkthroughs. How are you holding them accountable that is actually being done? Frankly.
Well, in my world, so the remote stores have to, when they do their walkthroughs, they have to scan them in and email them back to the main the hub office to reconcile them. So we got one set of eyes doing the walkthrough, and we got another set of eyes reconciling the walkthrough. And even if in the hubs of, if my guy in Akron, Ohio sends it in the Gettysburg hub today, and he has two. So if Jody did one today, the next time he sends it in, Amber or Angie will reconcile the second one. So we always got eyes rotating on it. We don't want the same set of eyes always doing the walkthrough. Now, doing the walkthrough is one thing because you're there, but reconciling is something different. We always have another set of eyes looking at it.
So actually, like printing off the walkthrough report and scanning it in and sending it. Gotcha. Okay.
And it actually works out well, Jim, because a lot of times when we find something now, like if we find all of a sudden something's locked open, and we look in, okay, we take the gate log, whatever, I'll go back to the last walkthrough and see what we saw in the last one. Just to see if there's anything there that we didn't catch the last time.
No, it's true.
One of the first things we look at when we find a unit locked open is what we immediately check the gate log to see when was the last time they were on property.
Yeah. Yep. And kind of started off the conversation that way, but it's amazing how many people leave their units locked open that way. I've seen the stickers. Have you seen these with just actual stickers you can put on right by the latch? It just says, make sure your latch is properly secured, or if you are vacating, let us know. Have you seen any of that kind of communication on the actual? We
have them on some of our doors. The ones from Chateau, when clean vacant. People don't read signs, dude. They don't read stickers.
I've never done it because that's how I feel. I was just curious.
No, we just don't. So we have them, but it's
yeah, that's I've seen them at other locations and all that, and I know 10 Federal has that quite a bit for on doors and things like that. I don't know. I just never have done it, and to me it feels like either they get ripped off or ignored. I don't know how much difference it makes. If anyone else has a other opinion, let me know. But yeah, because there's been a few locations I've been thinking about doing it. I just haven't done it yet. All right, what else we got? Any questions? Again, chime in. Go. So it's not just us blabbing on here. Put it in the chat. Anything you gotta say, we'll go over it here.
We used to do so for everyone that was moving out of a unit, we used to have these cards that we would stick to the lock afterwards, just saying that we had checked the unit and let us know if there's anything we could do and if something they could take with them. And at the bottom of it, it was like, make sure that you're secure, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times people would say, it was so nice to have that and take it away because I used it, actually read it. And that's the only time I've ever had anybody read something on site because they could take it with them. But it was just like a little, and I can show you, I have drops of it one day. I'll show you, Jim. But it was like a little check card where it's like, did we clean the unit? Did we do this? Did we do that? And it shows all the check marks so that the client knows, or the person renting knows that that unit has been inspected. Recently, I just oddly, I just recently rented a storage unit at a place. And I was leaving my old storage unit and I hadn't checked it very well when I moved out or moved in. And I found a wedding picture of the people who were there previously stuck in a corner randomly, like super like deep in there.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like one of those things where we would put that on our thing, like make sure you check your unit before you move anything in to make sure there's nothing else in there. So little things like that did work.
I think, you know, I think Storage King has something like that. And I want to say CubeSmart or Extra Space had something like that too. I don't know if they still do or not.
Extra Space does. They have like a little, for all their vacant units, a little checklist of what has been done to prep that unit. So I've seen that.
Yeah, and then you can put the manager's name on it. So we would always have everyone had their own set of cards so that they could go around and just put theirs on there so we know who checked each individual unit.
Yeah. It's just important to make sure we're checking every day because it's right. I mean, it's one of the things we talked with the new girl. We were just training for a field person, and she goes, when we opened the unit, there were 3 things left in the unit. She goes, and we stopped. Okay, here's what we do: you take a picture of the unit, you send it immediately, send it in the office, and we're going to secure the unit and lock it down, and we're going to call the customer. We do not consider a unit empty until everything's out of it. So if there's a box or whatever in there, I am of the mindset, Jim, and we talked about this before. I would rather take that unit all the way to the auction process and sell it because I don't want somebody to come back and say, well, I forgot my grandmother's wedding ring was in that box, or so, money, whatever. I would rather take, the unit's there, there's stuff in it, you're going to call, you're responsible, and we're going to take you through the process. And I know if you ever listen to Jeff Greenberger, he's a big proponent of that. I mean, everybody's like, well, it's, you can throw it out if you deem it no value, but who's to deem it no value? So I would rather just take it all the way through the process and be done with it.
Yep, exactly. Sorry, I was distracted. You were talking that this avatar from Lori from Raleigh's, it's making me laugh. We're gonna start seeing more and more of these avatars being in place in our Zoom sessions. It's great.
Yeah,
that's funny. I was doing that, just kind of pissing around with stuff last weekend. I was making like an avatar of myself, so I have like it's my voice, my likeness, and it's kind of creepy. It's still not quite there yet because the hands do a lot of this stuff. Maybe I talk a lot with my hands. I don't know, but the avatar looks really weird. So haven't used it yet. Maybe one of these days I'll throw it on here and see if you can tell the difference between me and a AI robot.
Yeah, I was talking to Dan Cosgrove from Mercantile yesterday, and they're doing Mr. Shopping, and they've got some new things going with, listening to the calls and giving summaries and all that. And they got this avatar or AI person talking, and I'm like, I said, I like it, but I don't know how I feel about the AI person. I'm like, maybe I'm old school. I don't know, but that just was a little freaky because the mouth wasn't in sync with the words, and I'm like, no.
Well, I test stuff out. I mean, if you go to my 3milestorage.com, I have a chatbot on there. It's an avatar. It's not me. It's another avatar that I put on there to kind of answer basic questions, just testing stuff out. I'm sure I'll may get in trouble if someone trying to ask stupid questions and gives a really stupid answer back. I don't know.
Oh, now I can test it.
I go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and mess with it. Yeah, go right ahead. But just playing around because this stuff is definitely coming. I mean, as you've heard me talk about before, just not with this, but like with the first tier call centers or interactions with people. It's coming. I keep waiting for
dude, my son works for Hardee's or Carl's Jr., whatever it's called, wherever you're at. And their store went through a massive upgrade, and their drive-through, I went through the other day on the way home from the airport. I was tired. And they were open. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go get something. And the person on the voice box was AI. It wasn't a person. Eva's got her hand up for that.
I just experienced that at Taco Bell. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm going to hate it. But it actually did a really good job.
Did they have the avatar too?
It didn't have the avatar. It just had Taco Bell has a really big, clear screen. So they're just like, here, look at the order. Is it correct? And yeah, it was. So
yeah, it was weird definitely doing that. But it was like midnight and I was tired. I got off the plane. I needed something. And I said to my son the next morning, I said, said something. He goes, yeah, he goes, we've had that for about a month and a half now. He goes, they spent all this money to save payroll, but I don't know how much they spent for the machine, but whatever.
Yeah, well, it's some still have it, and there's been other ones that started it. I forget who it was now. I'll get the name wrong, but it was a big chain that used it, and they took them out. They went back to traditionally staffed order takers. So this part of it. There's bumps in the road, but it ain't going anywhere. I don't want to ignore this because someone's asking about Martin, kind of about what we were talking about before, about the challenges. We were saying, don't have 2 people on a lease. But maybe let's go a little more in depth as to why not to have 2 people on a lease, the potential pitfalls to avoid.
Well, I mean, I've seen it with husband and wives getting divorced. I've seen it with college roommates. I mean, I've run into all of the biggest one for me has been husband and wife. They rent a unit, and then it becomes a big loss. I mean, I got one right now in one of my stores. We have one that's been there for 20 years. They've been paying for a unit for the last 18 months that neither one can have access to because the lawyers are involved and neither one of them wants to let the other one have access to get the stuff out of the unit.
My God.
And I'm just like, it's, I don't know. I mean, I had one not too long ago. A wife came in, her husband passed away. She goes, well, I've been the one paying the bill. I was the one here. I look, I said, it's in his name. She goes, he passed away. She goes, all I want to do is get rid of empty the unit. I said, I can't help. She goes, well, I have the key and the code. I'm going in. I'm like, be my guest. She got the key and the code. I'm not going to stop her, but I'm not going to give her the, because the worst part is when people go through those things and they don't want to go through the proper channels with the small state affidavit or the will and all that stuff. But 2 names on a lease are just, I've seen way too many times where, it's husband and wife split up or boyfriend and girlfriend. And actually I just had one the other day where the girl it was her unit. He came down, he had the key, got into the unit, took all the stuff out of there. She wants us to file a police report. I said, I can't file a police report because you gave him the key. He had the code and the key to get in. So we changed it. Then he came back. He goes, I tried to get in. I said, you can't get in. Well, it's my stuff. I said, it's in her name. That becomes a civil matter. You go through that route.
Yeah.
Because well, I'm going to break in. I'm like, you break in and you got bigger problems.
Yeah, it just simplifies matters. And the last thing you want to do is be the middleman in this bull crap that happens. it just does. Seen it way too often. Because again, people are using storage for what's the 4Ds? Death, divorce, moving, whatever else the other one is. There's always going to be drama surrounding it. And the less things that we can add into that equation, the better. So yeah, just one name. That's it. Question from Rhonda. My gosh, my eyes are getting bad. I gotta really focus here. What's your protocol for handling a large quantity of waste? Waste tires abandoning a unit. Unable to get a hold of the tenant, and his account is past due. Yeah, you're one of those that rents the unit. They put all the tires in there, and yeah, they did that on purpose. There are no intentions of coming back and paying for their tires. They dropped them off there. What have you done in the past with that, Jim, getting disposed? It's a pain in the butt. I mean, there's no way around it.
It really is. I mean, we'll go through the auction process, but we've had it where we've had to clean them out after the fact. And we found some tire recycling places that will come and take them. And we just, we actually had one about 10 years ago now. They came in and they cleaned it all out and did it all. And whatever the bill is, we just added that bill to the guy's account and sent them right to the collection agency. But I mean, that's why I just saw a guy on Facebook the other week said something about, he's given the first 2 months free. It's his move-in special. I'm like, don't do that. That's why I don't like the dollar. That's why I don't like the first month free. That's why we want to get money out of them up front to move in. So prorate in, whatever. But it's just not, tires are something you don't want to deal with. It's a headache and a half.
Yeah, like I said, same thing. You can look for recycle people that will come and grab it. It's sometimes they'll come and get it. More often than not, they're like, you have to bring it to us. But there's that expense of still trying to get that to them. But same thing. I mean, no one's going to buy it. You're going to have to get rid of it and then just tack on that bill to what they owe, send it off to collections. Well, we brought this up before. I know I have like my collection agency. You have your collection agency.
It's I got one for you.
Go ahead. What?
Hey, Jim.
I say it's actually a funny story. So many of you guys know a good friend Randall Broyles of mine. He actually had the same thing happen. It was a 10 by 20, and they stacked them. I mean, they packed that thing full 10 by 20. He got lucky. Somebody actually bid on it and won it, and they had to come clean it up. So just a side funny note. You can put it up, go through the auction process and see what happens.
See what happens, but don't hold your breath.
They actually paid for it and did it. Holy, that's
Yeah.
Randall.
Yeah,
Lottery,
like-
because that's never happened before.
We were on we were doing our networking thing, and he said that he was cussing and saying somebody left him a unit full of tires, and then somebody bid on it, and the guy who came and bid on it obviously wasn't happy. I mean, the pictures were there. I mean, it was
You
obvious
showed
what
me
was in it.
showed me his bidding on. Paul, do you have a question?
Well, yeah, I wanted to just share a quick story on the tire thing.
Yeah.
We had a unit that was, like you said, they did it on purpose. This guy evidently had like a lawn care business, and I guess he used the tires to build walls to fill. And so somehow we ended up with this unit full of tires. We took him to court. I went to the small claims court and was sitting there talking to the judge. We brought it up on a illegal dumping because it was over a certain number of tires. I mean, I was in there counting tires. So once we hit a certain number, I think it was 100, we could bring them up on charges for illegal dumping. So that's what we were there for. And the judge was like, hey, wait a minute, you guys both seem like reasonable people. Can't you negotiate something? And I'm like, yeah, get the tires out of here and we can talk. So he was there later that week and got all the tires out. But it was worth the legwork, I think, to stand up for the property, and because it's a private property, people can't dump tires on there, and many jurisdictions will have legislation for that you can tap into in a case like that, and so yeah, it was worth it, I think.
My question:
Yeah.
what was the timeline? How long did that take? Kind of beginning there.
Yeah, the tires were in there not much longer than if we had tried to auction them off, but we,
Wow.
Virginia's auction turnaround is pretty quick, but I'd say for us, we knew we probably weren't going to get anything at auction for those tires anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was just curious if it's going through the legal channels took months and months and months and months. Meanwhile, you're eating up cash flow, having to just sit there. But
Right.
yeah,
No,
turnaround, that's
the
great.
small claims court was fairly quick. Yeah.
Nice. I can think on, oh my gosh, 2 times I think I've ever done small claims court. Did you do that very much at Freedom?
You know what? I've done small claims twice in my life,
See, yeah, me too. Yeah.
and it's one of those things where we knew at the time it was going to work for us. I got one right now I'm dealing with. I got a guy, we tried to do the immediate vacate, but won't go out. He's got lawyers involved. We got the owner's got lawyers involved, and it's just been dragging on. It's a headache. So the sooner you can get your unit back, the fastest way you can get your unit back is get it. Whether it's small claims, auction, lawyers, whatever. Paul's right. I mean, Paul got lucky with that, and Virginia is a pretty good state to work in. But people got to learn it. We're not a trash recycling place. And when people move out, hey, I don't want that mattress. Well, we don't want it either. Take it with you.
Yeah, and we're kind of got off topic here for a second, but I wanted to bring up again because we've mentioned this a few times in our Q&As about sending them to collections. And there's not really anyone that I'm aware of that's kind of put their stake in the ground saying we are the collection agency for self-storage. Unless I'm not aware of that, but anybody else know of anyone that's been a great service, really enjoyed it? I think that's one thing that'd be very valuable for people to, if you don't do it now, to start implementing that.
We got one. We use Collection Bureau of America out of California, and they're pretty. I think they're in California. I think. But they've been pretty good, and it's amazing. We send stuff all the time, and we get some money back. I don't get a crap load of it, but as I told you before, Jim, if it's part of my process and it's part of my spiel that we're going to do this, we're going to do it. So we're not going to bluff. I just had one the other week where they, they came back for the statement, they want a statement, and then their customer's paying for it. So, it's, we tell them all the time, it's part of our whole collection process, and we're going to do this if you don't do what you're supposed to do. And again, they're actually, I'm looking here right now, they're in Hayward, California. But I do know they work in all the states, and that's why I like them, because they do work in all 50 states. So
no, that's great. Yeah, I was gonna say, anyone else that's using someone that you like, please put it in the chat there. I think it'd be a good resource for other people to investigate. Because if you're not using it, I mean, again, it's so simple now. I mean, probably the same system you're using. Wait, send them the contract, you send them the balance owed, contact information that you got, and then you kind of
with mine, we have a portal that we uploaded. They gave us an Excel spreadsheet. You fill in a couple pieces on an information Excel spreadsheet, upload it to them. They take care of it. They'll come back in case say, hey, we need a copy of the ledger, we copy the notes, we need this, we need a picture, and we just all write through the portal, and it's easy. Again, I got ones right now. We have a process in place. My stores know what they got to do after the auction. We send them in once a month. I upload them all, get them all done.
Yeah. It's again, once I do that, it's like, you don't expect any money back, but when it comes in, it's like, hey, that's a bonus. Great for the owners to get a little extra check once in a while.
So we just had speaking of auctions, we just had one this week. And Alana got involved with me. The unit sold for $57,000.
One that you were doing? Holy crap! What was in it?
Vintage video games and collectibles.
How many? How big?
It was a 10 by 20. It was packed.
Holy crap!
And it was funny because Alana called me. She said that when she started tagging it online, you're like, nobody's going to buy that. And the guy came in, he brought a bank check in, paid for it. He owns online video, vintage video games and stuff like that. And you can see in the pictures, there were totes and totes of stuff. And there were, not only that, but there were collectible toys. Like I think there were some Transformers or Hasbro stuff in there that, it was going up. It started out at 1,000. The day of the auction, it literally jumped from like 15,000 to 57,000.
Okay, so that was obviously more than what they owed. So what happens with the difference?
Well, then you got to send the customer the demand letter back to them saying, hey, this unit sold for X amount over. You had the right to come back for this money. And we always send it certified mail, which they're not going to sign for. So most likely I think in Pennsylvania, after 2 years, we need to turn that over to the state.
Gotcha. That's it. We won't go too far down that road.
Jim, that's through.
Go ahead,
Jim. That's through Lake to Lane when they produce their disposal notice.
No, we have it. We
Junior?
do it. We have ours internally through SiteLink. We do ours separately.
Okay.
I think the craziest auction story I've ever heard, I don't know if you guys have heard this one, is I was working for one of the people who this happened to, but they had an auction and it was like yours with the collectibles, but it was stolen collectibles. And one of them ended up being Nicolas Cage's Batman #1 comic edition, and he had to come claim it from the storage facility. Yeah, because it was once they sold it and the people were trying to sell it to a reseller, they essentially were like, this is a stolen comic. This is a #1, like this is a very rare edition of a comic, and there's no way that like two people could have it. So yeah, Nick Cage had to go claim it and be like, yeah, this is mine. I think it was worth like $2.1 million or something like that.
Jeez. For a comic book.
Yeah, for a comic book. It was the original. I think it's like the first one. I think you can even look it up online if you look up Nicolas Cage's Batman thing. But it's just hilarious that people do that. They'll, sometimes you never know. Those units are stolen, or people don't. That's why they're not going to sign for certified mail.
It's crazy. I've seen a couple. I had one not too long ago. Went up. Didn't go anywhere near that amount, but it had vintage Coca-Cola vending machines in it. And that one went for like $12,000.
Dang.
The moral of the story is take good pictures with your auction units. Make sure you take good pictures, quality pictures, and post them and get them up online, because people are looking. And we had one and another one the same round, another store didn't go anywhere near that. I mean, it went a little bit over what they owed us, but they were driving 3 states away to come get this stuff.
Wow.
So online auctions definitely for us, it's been a godsend.
That's crazy. I remember back in the day, I used to have a auction house. I would do live auctions, and I did all the U-Hauls and extra spaces here in Utah, and about 30. I think we ended up with like 38 other mom and pops that we were doing. I always remember this one. I rolled up the unit, and half the time I didn't know what it was until I was there actually doing the selling. I rolled up the door, and it was just tiles, but it was just piles and piles and piles of tiles and like granite tiles kind of thing. And again, I look at it, I'm like, oh, whatever. It looks like a pain in the butt to unload this. This one guy's looking at it. He's like, I see him calling somebody on the phone. Went for $6,000. And I'm like, $6,000 for what are you buying? And by the time we went to the next unit, he had already sold that unit to this other guy for like $38,000. So he made that much money within like literally like a 5-minute time period. It's like, holy crap. Yeah. There's all sorts of stories like that, it just blows your mind.
I hated live auctions because no matter when I had all the stores in Maryland, and we would start in one store in the morning and go through, and inevitably we would never be on time for one of the auctions. People would be mad at us, yelling. And I remember doing one. It was an auction unit, and then it was a tarp. You could tell it was some kind of off-road vehicle, right? A moped or a four-wheeler, and it was covered. So you know the rules. We don't let anybody in. You can't touch anything. So the last bid I had was like $1,300. And out of the blue, some kid comes around, grabs it, and throws a tarp up, and everybody sees what it is now. And I'm like, that's it, auction's over. Because I was like, I'm not gonna let you know, you're not gonna touch it. So the guy bought it for $1,300. It was actually like a $10,000 four-wheeler. So, geez.
Wow. Doing those auctions, I could probably sit there for the next 3 hours and talk about auction stories. But yeah, I always remember doing the live auctions, and we would do on a busy day, we would probably do 6 auctions in one day. Just the caravan, the circus coming to town and going to those units. But as soon as I tried the first time online, and this is how many years ago, I think Storage Treasures was the first one kind of out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried it, and like next day I was done. Like, nope, no more. Even though it was costing me money, obviously, because I was kind of shutting that business down. Like, this is the future. It's the only way to do this.
So what's your weirdest?
They were mad, but I'm like,
what's,
no.
What's your weirdest auction customer you ever ran into?
He's not on here. I always call him Carney because he reminded me of like a Carney guy at the fair, the carnival. Just had the mullet. Think of Joe Dirt. He was Joe Dirt. But he would always go to all of my auctions. He wouldn't buy anything. He just went there to just stir the shit with people. He would like bid them up and then kind of back out and just like messing with people. And this one guy, he shouldn't have messed with. He just kind of was like poking the bear. And the guy punched him, decked him as he was holding his shirt, was holding him, boom, kept punching him, threw him in the unit, rolled the door down. The guy was like banging from inside the unit, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, holy. Yeah, chaos. I sent everyone down to the next unit, and I let this guy out, and I had to like, all right, you're done. That's the only guy I ever had to ban. But yeah, he was nuts. He wasn't all there, I don't think. Let's put it
I banned one or two, but not a lot. But the day we went live auction was the happiest day for me because I was just tired of it.
Yep. It was fun, but it was nerve-wracking as crap too. I always said if I was a criminal, that's one place I would rob because everyone had cash, everyone had stacks of bills in their pocket, and it'd make me a nervous wreck when I'd be done. And I'd be in the office and I would have stacks of cash. I mean, I would tell the manager, I'm like, you lock the door. As soon as we're done here, you are going to the bank. Do not wait here. Because I was afraid like some auction guy, like this Carney dude, would just turn right back around and rob the place because they knew how much money just turned hands. So that alone, just the liability port, I hated it. So yeah, as soon as we went to the online auction, like, cool, solves way too many problems.
I remember when Storage Wars came out, and all of a sudden we had an influx of people buying that units, cars parked everywhere. And we actually had a rash of break-ins at the one property because, and back then we used yellow locks from Chateau for vacant. And the guys who broke in weren't smart because they didn't realize yellow locks meant vacant. They cut like 22 of them.
They did what? Sorry,
They were cutting locks trying to get off. It was a newer building. They were trying to they thought they were buying stuff. And yeah, the live auctions are, I don't know anybody's still doing them, but with the weather and the issues and all that stuff, anybody left. So.
Oh no, I just talked to a guy, well, I said just probably 6 months ago, that when I brought up the alternative of online auctions, he's like, they do that? I'm like, oh my gosh, where have you been? So again, a lot of times we'll kind of take stuff for granted just because we're so into this, frankly. There's still some of the just basic stuff that, man, people need to know about. So, yeah, it's, and so I started talking to him about, I remember this now, it was like kind of self-storage 101 on what to go to for resources to start learning. So see if you can add to it. But I just told him, cool, state associations, SSA, inside self-storage, listening to podcasts, that kind of thing, just to get your feet wet and get learning things. Obviously, this wasn't around back then. Should have been. But if you're brand new, come into this, you're totally green. Like, what's kind of the first few steps to start getting your knowledge base growing more as far as operations go? What would you recommend? This is to anyone, frankly, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's. We were just talking. I was just talking to somebody the other day about the conference, fall season conference coming, all the state association ones coming up on this. Like, which is the best one to go to? I'm like, any of them, anyone you can get to. And we're on the board for PA. And we're talking about the Mid Atlantic one, and we're talking about the Vegas conference in September. And look, if you can't make Vegas and you can't get there, these newer, bigger, multi-state, mini conferences like the Mid Atlantic one and the Northeast had one, and then you got there's a new one coming in the Great Northeast with Minnesota, whatever. These multi-state shows are going to are really valuable if you can't get to the bigger ones like national, like SSA or ISS.
Yeah.
Get to these, but I mean anything you can get to, be part of it. I just had somebody call me today about they were looking for gotta love people on Facebook. Hey, anybody in Washington State want to share or send me their lease? I'm like, no. Reach out to the association or call one of the lawyers. Don't borrow a lease from somebody else.
no,
It's 2024.
I was talking to this one guy. Oh, it was in California. I forget where. Anyway, we were talking about education, and I actually told him to jump on this. He actually might be on here, but he's like, I didn't want to wait. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I didn't want to wait for the shows and things like that. He goes, I literally mapped up my area. I think he went like 10 miles, tracked down all the owners, and I kind of made my own little mastermind from my area. He goes, we meet about every other month, just telephone or Zoom. He goes, I've learned more just by having that micro local area than doing the state shows or going to like the national shows. I'm like, that's awesome, dude. I don't hear that very often from people taking that initiative and doing that. He's like, he's learned a ton. So I'm hoping I'll see him on here. I'd love for him to come on and kind of talk about how he got that going and actually had people, be willing to have those kind of conversations. I think it's very invaluable.
Anytime you can pick somebody else's brain, Jim, we talk about it all the time, and I know Paul's on here. Paul and I did a session in Vegas with XPS, and Anthony and I, we've talked multiple times, and I've been on his show. Anytime we can talk and share data, share knowledge, share experiences, because we've all run into things that nobody else, it's never even happened to us, but we know it's happened somewhere else. So what did you do in this situation? What did you do with it? I mean, Paul's one with the tire taking him to the civil court. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, it's something I wouldn't have thought of, but I mean, we will all learn from each other and and we all share. And that's why I love doing this every other Friday. It's just, open, free flowing. I will say to anybody on the Facebook groups that are out there, please, take it with a grain of salt what people are saying, and don't take the easy way out. Don't borrow somebody else's lease. Don't just throw stuff away in a unit. Make sure that we're doing things the right way, because we don't need, the associations are great to all of us, the industry. We don't need it to get micromanaged by the government because people just done something really stupid.
And get ready for that. That's a whole nother conversation about the government coming in. Yeah, we'll see how the rates go. But no, it's just, I mean, doing this, the whole point is we're not alone in this. Especially managers, sometimes when you're a manager at a location, it kind of sometimes can feel like you're on an island kind of by yourself, because it's kind of a one-man show a lot of times. And if you're not part of a bigger company that has a lot of the locations, you're all talking to each other, it can be lonely. I've been there, done that, and I know that for a fact. So I'd love to get more managers and stuff on here as well. Especially during your session day in the life of a self-storage manager. Hearing those kind of comments and concerns and questions from the manager point of view, I think is more valuable than us owners and operators talking about things. So I'd love to get some more managers and their perspective on this kind of thing.
Well, I can tell you that session is going to be highly, as Dave Cooper likes to say, it's a conversation, not a presentation. We want to have interaction back and forth, and we're going to learn from everybody. We're always picking from each other and who's doing what. And we say it all the time: what works in Southern California doesn't work in Florida. And if you're in the great state of Alabama, good old boy Redneckville, it's not going to work in Texas. So I mean, even for our company, things that work well in one market might not work well in another one. So it's learning from each other. And the guy who did the 10-mile radius and started networking, that's brilliant, because you can really make the market better and make everybody better.
No, I think it was genius, is having that kind of micro. Well, it's almost like a mastermind, frankly, in that area, because you can really kind of delve into your local market and what's working there. I think it was great. I got a quick favor to ask for everyone. I try not to do this too often, but since you're all on here, and hey, we're all community here. Do me a favor. I've been putting a lot more effort into the self-storage show podcast that I've been doing for ever. It seems like, but doing more of these kind of like these little segments, little bites. I call it 3 minutes or 3 mile, but doing it daily for a little while now. I need some reviews, so I just put it in chat. So before we hang up here in about 5 minutes, just click the link, have it open up. If you don't mind, just take 2 minutes, just give a little review. It kind of helps boost, searchability and being able to be found. So I'm not just talking to nobody. More people will be able to discover it and get some value out of it. So yeah, if you don't mind, do that as a favor. I would appreciate it. But that being said, we got about 5 minutes left, guys. So now's your chance. If you've got anything, questions, comments, chime in. Anthony, go ahead.
Jim, hey, Jim Jr. I don't know, Jim Ross. I don't know if Ross, if you use late to lean, but I have a question regarding it, because I've been getting really used to it. I did training with my staff yesterday regarding it. Currently, Jim, Mooney, I heard last week or a couple of weeks ago that you were talking, you have them take over on day 35. Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, they
internet.
pick up on day 35.
Sorry, my internet has been sketchy since yesterday.
Yeah,
okay.
You're in
We were advised when we were doing the onboarding. Yeah, we were advised, like when we were doing the onboarding, for them to take over on day 31. Is there any? Because what we're trying to do is our scenario is I'm having them cut locks. Actually, there was advice a few days earlier so that we can get everything done. And then in the advertisement lien, in the notice, that the contents are correct. I'm trying to figure out, or if I need to adjust that within our company.
We did
And what your
35.
advice was, if we would have them push it back to day 30. We're there, so late to lean is taking over is enacting on day 31 for us.
Well, we didn't do day 31 strictly because day 31, especially in certain months, is still in the actual month you're in. So we went 35, just to give us a chance to get for us to do our thing in cycling, charge the lien fee. So we were looking 32, 30. We just settled on day 35 for us. We didn't do 31 because I never want them to add another fee on the last day of the month before somebody will actually pay their way out of it. So that's why we went after the fact.
What day are you guys cutting locks on?
We don't, a lot of our states, we don't cut locks till like day 60.
Okay. Why? Because like what I'm looking at is so example, so everybody kind of gives a general idea. I know we got about 3 minutes. We're using Hummingbird, and it's, they're pulling the information from, they're pulling the information API up, the contents, what's in Hummingbird. And they were requesting that to make sure that that information is in before the lien letters are sent out, because sometimes it will state in there, the contents of such and such and such. Or when they're putting the advert out, if the state requires a newspaper ad, that is in there.
I'm not sure, Anthony. How about you and I connect offline and
Trying to find the best practice if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can connect offline, but I think what you're
Yeah,
getting
I appreciate it. Yeah,
I'll say a lot of the state statutes require that you have to put discoverable inventory that kind of associates what is being stored to that unit within the demand letter. So that kind of helps set the precedent on when later people start getting involved and when you can actually do the lot cuts. So yeah, you have to kind of really be diligent on, okay, at 31 days to like the 40th day mark, kind of in that window, we're cutting. Whether it's 1 unit, 10 units, whatever, we're going to cut, process to at least see what's in there, or if it's vacant, get it cleaned out quickly. And then that will set the timeline for the rest of what late to lien will actually start doing. But yeah, talked to Jim. He's definitely uses them much more diligently than I have in the past. So yeah, talk to Jim on that one.
Yeah, a lot of it's state specific. So
yep, exactly. All right.
I'll call you Jim.
All right, man, thanks.
Cool. Well, I think we're going to wrap this one up, guys. We'll see you here in a couple of weeks. So appreciate everyone jumping on and contributing and turning your cameras on so I can see your faces. That's always nice. Any parting words, Jim, before you go off and check out your baseball game tonight?
I'm just looking forward to a couple of days down for some baseball time, so it should be fun.
I say it's not travel time for sites here; it's travel time for baseball games.
Well, I'll still be working as I go through the day, so you know how it goes. Never really on vacation, so
that's awesome. All right, have fun. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
In a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Go review Jim's Go review Jim's podcast, please. I'm already clicking on it right now.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Anthony. Take care, guys.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys. If you enjoyed this episode and want to be a part of the next Q&A with Jim and Jim, pretty easy. Just go to 3milestorage.com. You'll see the events tab. Click that, and there'll be a Jim and Jim section. Just register for that. We do this every other Friday. Been doing it for months now. Pretty consistent. And we're getting a good group. So hope to see you there. See ya.